So we're gonna, that they have done most of
Bring
the
up the
work, but not
microphones.
all the work, okay?
Okay, your mics are
Put your
hot.
mic on.
Yeah, but you don't wanna vote on it.
It's on.
They're not done with it,
10 seconds.
Okay.
Your mics are hot.
Yep.
you know? That would bite us in
Can I go to this now?
Yep, go to that. Oh, actually, you gotta turn this one off
We've
first.
already paid
Remember?
quite a bit though, because we have to
All
pay
right,
the materials.
it's now 10 o'clock.
Oh. Good morning, we're at the Urban Housing meeting on February 27th, 2023. Could we please stand for the pledge?
You can go to the other one, because we do have it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Number 3, we're not going to have a vote on, so we're going to bypass it. Go to 4, discussion and vote to approve completion of window project. Do I have a motion?
So, motion.
Second?
Open it
I
up.
second.
Is that all set up? It's okay to vote on? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, discussion and vote to approve repayment, excuse me, of rent at Packagug flood victims.
Okay, we had a problem at Packagug Village when we had the big cold winter snap. It happened on a Saturday night. It was the same time that the senior center got flooded. What they're finding now is that we had the problem because of the way they did the vents on the roofs at Packagug, you know, our big roofing project. They messed up. The soffits, they put vents, like a million of them, like every 6 inches there's a vent underneath the soffit. They did not insulate the vents. So needless to say, all this cold air went streaming in and it hit the pipes, interior wall. But
Yeah.
the cold air went right in. So the maintenance guys found the problem and they reported it, we reported it, the whole thing. We had 3 residents get flooded. So what this vote is to return their February rent, which they paid, but they weren't actually able to stay in their apartments. So I'd like to refund them their money for the month of February. In the meantime, the state is doing another change order with the vendor to come out and remove those vents and insulate properly. So they screwed it up and now they've got to fix it. And I'm going to push, because we've had to incur expenses because of this. We had to do asbestos testing from 2 different agencies. The first company that did the remediation work, like put the blowers in to dry out the apartments, they tested the walls, the ceiling, but they didn't test the floors. So when it came time to replace the flooring, which they replaced it with this vinyl plank instead of carpet, which technically is an upgrade. So they replaced all the flooring with the exception of the bathroom with this vinyl plank flooring. Now, 2 units are back in service. The last one, they found asbestos tile on the 2nd floor and they had to abate the asbestos. So it ended up being a big deal and we had to get a pod to remove his contents into the apartment, and so he's not going to be ready till at least tomorrow, and with the snow, who's to say, but he's aware of it. So what you're voting for is to refund them their rent for the inconvenience of what they've had to endure. and we're gonna go from there. You know, I have one resident complaining, oh, the apartment is dusty and whatever. It's like they did the best they could to put it back and to clean it. But when you start dealing with somebody's contents and their clothing, I mean, they need to put that back themselves.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? The less you handle people's stuff, the better off you are. The less chance it's gonna get broken. So she did call this morning to complain about the apartment, but we'll just make her as happy as we can and refund that, you know. I mean, it was an inconvenience to them, but it wasn't anything that we did other than the roofer and the engineer and the architect from the state. Is what it is. But I am going to try to push the costs of the asbestos and all this onto the roofing project. They should pay. It shouldn't come out of our budget. We didn't cause this.
I was just gonna question that because I think they should pay for it, not.
Yeah, and if you have any trouble, let the board know.
Yep, and I think,
We'll go from there.
because it's going to be like, I got one bill for $5,500. I mean, it's probably going to cost us $15,000 by the time we're done for the remediation company in the first asbestos test, and anything we have to do to make these people happy. You know, I'm gonna make them happy. That's the bottom line. They didn't, this wasn't their fault. Some of them, a couple of them do have tenant insurance, so let's see what happens.
They shouldn't have to use that either.
Well, you wouldn't think, but that's what it's for, I guess. The state won't reimburse for contents. They won't. So we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do there. But if we're only paying for that part and not paying for the asbestos and all that other stuff,
Right.
then that's a different story,
Yeah.
you know? But, so that's what that vote is. The amount is the combined total of the 3 units and what they pay for rent for February.
Well, it's a good idea you came up with.
Yes.
I think it's only right to do it.
Definitely.
Do I have a motion?
So,
Second?
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Discussion and vote to approve fiscal year end reports.
Okay, so Gary came in last week and all the paperwork is ready to submit to the state for the year end.
Mm-hmm.
And you just need to vote to submit it. You know, he presented the budget's going in, you already voted on that, and now it's just to submit the year-end reports.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Opposed? None. Director's report.
So, we had the flood, and that's been challenging because we've never had any kind of loss like this before. You know, the insurance company came in and just kind of decided what they're gonna do, and I'm kind of surprised at the amount of time it actually has been, the work has been completed. Worcester Housing had similar situation with multiple units,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know that they're gonna be up and running as quick as us, but I just, had the flood here. I had a flood at my house in Maine. Of course, I was here, so I couldn't be there, and 6 inches of water on my basement floor. But the remediation part was good. 2.5 hours, the water was gone.
Uh-huh.
So that part worked out well, and it was only the basement that was affected. But it's been like, we've had an easy winter per se, but with this, it's been kind of challenging. The guys in the meantime have finished installing the countertops in the back of Packagug. So all the units in the back now have new
New ones.
countertops. We are gonna go forward with stoves. We had a project where we were gonna replace the stoves in the front of Packagug, but when they measured, they came up with 24 inches when we needed 20 inches. So the stoves didn't,
Who measured them?
wasn't us. Leave it at that. So
All right.
Woodco ordered the stoves, they were the wrong size. So we had to pay to have the stoves sent back, but because we've already paid out money for like an architect, an engineer, everything is like money, like
Yeah.
and they measured wrong. So they were talking about replacing the cabinets, absolutely not. We're gonna send these back, we're gonna get the right size stove, and we're not gonna have any more drama over this, which was stupid. So that's okay, so that's our stove project. So Woodco's gonna reorder, because we've already gone out for bid and the whole bit, and we've already paid money, so we're gonna just get something for what we paid for. And we'll have a change order at some point, but this is coming out of our grant money. It's not coming out of our operating budget, it's coming out of our grant money. And the problem wasn't with us, but we still have to deal with it, because I want the residents to get a new stove, period. Then, we've got the vent hoods. Well, we were going with bisque, because a lot of the stoves were bisque, and the vent hoods that were replaced were bisque. Well, we went out to bid for a bisque vent hood, and they don't make them anymore. So, we had the engineer, we had the architect, we paid money, went out to bid for a bisque vent hood that doesn't exist. So, rather than lose the money that we put out, we are going to have white. We're going to have white stove with a white vent hood, so it doesn't look tacky. I mean, I wouldn't want that in my house. So we're going to go with white, because they haven't discontinued that color yet. And,
Yet?
well, you don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
you just don't know today. So the plan is we're going to get white vent hoods to match the white stove, and I think depending on the age of the refrigerators, I may ask like Mass Save or one of those agencies, depending on the age of the equipment, I might try to get those for free. I mean, if we have a considerable number of refrigerators, like they'll replace, like we had that done before. We got refrigerators from Mass Save or whatever. I don't even remember the agency, but I'll figure it out. They gave us refrigerators for free. But they have to be a certain age, and they have to be like energy efficient. So I'm hoping I can get some white that fit refrigerators. So then their kitchen will actually look kind of cute, right?
Yeah.
And we've already spent money, so we've got to get something for the money. You know, and we need to move forward on the rehab of these apartments. The windows, even the windows turned out to be see, once you have these agencies come in, they take over everything. The specifications, I don't have any control. You have control because you vote to pay, and then I pay. But as far as what they're going to do, that's all up to the state. And this ends up being a problem. When they did the windows, they didn't realize that we didn't have grids. So the new windows all have grids, and the rest of the state development doesn't. So we have replaced some windows already, no grids. So it just seems like everything, people are working from home, and it doesn't work out all the time, you know? It may work out for them, but it doesn't work out for us. You actually have to be on the property and look to see. I mean, 24-inch stove and a 20-inch stove is a big difference,
Yeah.
you know?
It sure is. I can't believe they
But,
4 inches off.
and they did come out and they measured like 3 apartments, and we have like over 50 stoves. So the bulk of them, we're never gonna fit unless we actually redid the kitchens, and we're not at that point yet. We got other things that we have to do first. So it just seems like I talked to them last week, and it was like, what the heck? It's like everything seems to be going south. And they're like, well, it's not your fault. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. It's grant money that we should be spending on something else, as opposed to trying to redo what's already been messed up. And it's taxpayer money that's getting wasted, and I have a problem with that. But I gotta pick my battles, honestly, because I don't want them, you know, it is what it is. If the state isn't gonna hold them accountable, what are you gonna do?
Right.
We're gonna just get what we need, take care of our residents, take care of our property, and try to keep our nose clean going forward. You know? I mean, they know I'm not happy, but I don't think they really care, to be honest with you. So, it is what it is. But we're gonna pick more projects, like the trash room doors up at Packagug are just like they're on a thing, and they come across, and it's like they're ancient, and it's like the animals can get in. It's not even an actual door. It's like a piece of wood on a little thing, and it slides. It's kind of like one of those barn doors. Yeah, but they don't put those outside. They put that like in a bathroom to kind of, in the master bedroom, like if you're watching the the project shows. And it's like, that's what we've got outside to protect the trash room. You know, the mechanical room doors, it's like, if you open it, you don't know if you're gonna be able to close it without taking the hinges off. Everything is all outdated. It's all original, and the place was built in the 70s. You know, 76 is when it came online. So we've got to find other things. Yeah, and the stairwells are, the tiles are all faded and look like crap. You know, I mean, I wouldn't want it in my house, and I don't want it in my properties. But we're gonna find other things, and they're not, now we've done the big stuff. We've done the windows somewhat, we still have more to do. And we've done the roofs, we've done siding, and we're gonna start looking at the electrical. On the federal side, we're gonna redo pretty much all the electrical, like outside lighting, all the hallway lighting. Like if you look at look at the smoke detectors. See how like discolored that is? That's because it's been here since the building opened. You know what I mean? It certainly doesn't look brand new. It looks like crap. You know, so I've got quotes on, let's just replace it. And that way when we go to get it inspected, it's one less thing we have to worry about. Because now a lot of the battery operated stuff, the batteries you can't get. So then what do? You can't tell HUD, oh, by the way, we couldn't get the batteries. Well, that just is not acceptable. And 94 out of 100 was a good score, but it should have been 99 out of 100, which we have gotten in the past. So yeah, we did well, but I think we can do better. They give you the money, you just have to spend it.
Right.
And that's why they're so hard on you when they go to inspect, because they've given you the money with the expectation that you're going to spend it and make the improvements that you need. And that's what we're going to do, especially in the federal program, because we have quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
We're a high performer, we have quite a bit of money. So we're going to find ways to improve the living conditions for our residents and make it something that we can be proud of and not have to stress out over every time anybody comes in to look. We shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
Okay?
No, that's good.
The other thing is the maintenance people, I'm in compliance now with the vacation time thing. finally. And the maintenance guys are still not in compliance. And we hired another part-time person, Jerry, to help with them being able to take time off. So that's one step we took. They've identified how much time they have, and they're starting to put in to take the time off so that we will be in compliance. But during COVID, they weren't able to take the time. During these inspections, they haven't really been able to take the time because they did the work. Do you know what I mean? And it's actually, I'm finding that we're better off to have our own people do the work, or have the vendors that we use on a regular basis do the work because they care about what they're doing, rather than hiring these people that the state or whoever comes up with. We don't know who they are. The residents aren't familiar with them because they haven't seen them. Where the residents do know who we use for plumbing, they do know who we use for electrical because we've used them for a number of years. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I trust them to go into somebody's apartment and not have to worry. I mean, we hire good people. And as far as our staff goes, they care about what they're doing. And they want to fix it right so they don't have to keep going back to fix it. And they were happy with the inspection, considering what we had to go through during COVID and the supply issues and the batteries. I mean, you don't even know the shelf life on a battery. You could be installing one in the emergency lights in the hallway,
Mhm.
and it's a brand new battery, and they could go and test it the next day and it could be dead. We've actually had that happen. So you don't know how long it's been sitting on the shelf. So you're buying it thinking you're going to be all set, and you're not. So now, instead of dealing with the batteries, we're going to replace the fixtures.
There you go.
You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yep.
So that's our plan. And
Okay.
we have a couple vacancies, and we're using CHAMP for the state, that Central Housing Authority waiting list. We're using that. In the federal, we're using the veterans list. Okay? But we're required to use CHAMP, and we've been taking training on it. I've been taking training on it. But they need to understand that we're predominantly a federal housing authority,
Mhm.
then we are state. So we need to manage our time between what the state is requiring us to do as opposed to what we can do. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Good.
So we're doing the best we can with what we have. And that's all I have to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne,
Yes.
may I make a statement?
Sure, go ahead.
I'd like to thank Laurie and everyone in the office and all the employees of this housing authority, because they have done an excellent, outstanding job from what I can see and what I'm hearing. And I would like to congratulate them. And I don't know if you've put a letter in their folders or what you do.
We haven't
with
done
that,
one this year,
I
but we
think
did one
need to
last
do
year.
that. So I make a motion that you do that, if you need a motion.
Do I have a second?
We can't vote on that
Second.
because it's not on the agenda.
Okay, we'll put it
Oh,
on.
that's right.
We'll
Put
put
it
it
on
on
the
the
next
agenda for
agenda.
the next meeting, please.
See?
That's a good
I'm paying attention.
Good girl.
But, I mean, we're a work in progress, and it's like when you're dealing with old properties, but I'd rather be dealing with the old properties than the new ones, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I think, I mean, they've gotten us this far, we just have to improve them. But I didn't think I needed to micromanage them, but I really do. And I'm not an architect, and I'm not an engineer, but I do have common sense,
Yeah.
you know?
And the facility looks good. It really does.
Well, when you ride around and look at some of the others,
Yes.
I mean, we're gonna look better. But when spring comes, we can do more work outside because we kind of got torn up with the shingles and the front of PV, and we have stuff to do that we can do, you know,
Okay.
because it's home,
Exactly.
you know. So now I'm really done.
Really done now?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay, done, finished, that ought to do it. Any member items? Seeing none? Public comment? Seeing none? Adjournment.
I make a motion. We're gonna change our meeting next month to what date?
It'll be Thursday at 10 o'clock.
Date. What date?
Next Thursday at 10.
It'll be, oh, that's right, because this is still February. What day is the Thursday in March? Oh, the first is Wednesday, so it'll be the 2nd. March 2nd, right?
March 2nd, that's next week.
We're gonna shoot for that, if not,
It's this week.
oh yeah, we can't do that.
Oh,
I'm not even gonna be there.
Fifth,
how about the
that's
9th?
my birthday, you can't do it on my birthday.
No, I'm not doing it on your, unless you're gonna have cake, no.
No, I won't. Let's have cake.
Yeah. So it'll be the 9th, right?
So
March 9th.
March 9th?
And that'll give us a chance to get the remote and the Zoom, whatever, go to
That's
meeting stuff.
Okay, the 9th at 10?
And I'll have more stuff to say by then.
I bet you will. Well, you're doing a good job,
Thank
and
you.
I'm really proud of you, the way you did the flood thing, the reimbursement.
And you know what, we may have to see, I mean, we've got to put them back the way they were, you know? I mean, I wouldn't want something like that to happen in my house and then have people just walk away and say it's good enough. Well, if they're not happy, it's not good enough.
No,
Oh, yes,
Sure, fine.
our property is valuable, and we need to make sure we take care of it,
Right.
same as we do with our own homes.
The hallways are like horrendous, really bad, but they're old. So that's gonna be another whole,
can of worms.
but everybody's safe, nobody got hurt. And the guys went along and they went to Home Depot and they got some plastic and some insulation. And they kind of did a makeshift job on these vents
Mm-hmm.
so that because it got cold this week, we don't want to have additional problems with the ones that are still. So they went along and covered up all those soffit vents until we can figure out what the state's going to do to fix this problem. But you're one
Okay.
step forward, 3 steps back. But it's what it
So,
is.
have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, and I gotta put the clock, get the clock.
Oh, yeah, where is
It's
it?
on the list.
Okay, do I have a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None?
Nope.
I mean, we can stay here if you really want. Another day in paradise.
Yeah.
That's what we can do.
Now I can do the.
You got it.